When you hear the word metaverse, your mind probably jumps to corporate presentations and, those weird floating torsos. But what if the real story isn't about big tech at all? What if it's about communities building entirely new worlds from the ground up, on their own terms? That's what we're going to dig into.
The big promise of the metaverse was always this grand idea of a new digital frontier, a virtual space where everyone could be equal, totally unburdened by the baggage of the physical world. A total blank slate, right?
But here's the thing. Is it really a blank slate? Or are the same old problems, the biases, the inequities, the power dynamics, just following us right into this new digital reality? Maybe with just a fresh coat of pixels?
So that's the core conflict we're exploring today. The incredible promise of what the metaverse could be versus a much, much more complicated reality.
You can really look at the metaverse in two totally different ways. On one hand, you've got the very cold, very technical view from Webster's dictionary, basically a system. But on the other side, you have this much warmer, much more human definition from Sarah Sharp. It's a community where people create experiences together. And these two definitions, they're basically setting up two completely different paths for the future.
In this powerful question from Dr. Courtney D. Cogburn really just nails the motivation behind what people are calling the Black Metaverse. It's a movement that comes from a simple understanding. If you don't actively build the world you want to see, you'll be forced to live in one built from someone else's imagination.
Because the unfortunate truth is, the metaverse isn't some perfect utopia. The same real-world problems are already popping up all over the place. We're seeing AI algorithms with clear racial and gender biases. We've got reports of darker-skinned art NFTs selling for less. Black users often find their posts moderated more harshly. All while big tech, which is majority white-controlled, dominates all the funding, the research, and of course the profits.
Okay, so in response to all of that, a really powerful movement is rising up. But instead of just trying to fix a flawed system, they're building entirely new ones, all based on this idea called digital placemaking.
And the intellectual foundation for this whole movement comes from sociology, from a really powerful idea known as Black placemaking.
So, what is it? Well, at its heart, Black placemaking is about how communities, often facing huge systemic challenges, have always actively created their own spaces. And these aren't just physical places. They are sites of resistance, of belonging, of celebration, of self-determination. And now, that exact same powerful principle is being applied to the digital world.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract theory, it is happening right now. So let's actually jump inside and take a look at some of these new worlds being built to showcase Black culture, history, and innovation.
And wow, the ecosystem here is incredibly diverse. You've got AfroMetaverse, which is focused on education. There's the African Museum of the Metaverse for Art. Morehouse College is using it to teach history in an immersive way. The Mike Africa is showcasing musical talent, and Simwin Sports is creating new paths for entrepreneurship. It's a whole universe of initiatives.
All right, let's zoom in a little bit, starting with AfroMetaverse. This is a platform built specifically to connect Black youth from the United States, Canada, Brazil, and Colombia. It helps them engage with their shared heritage in a way that's, well, it's totally transformative and interactive.
The difference in the approach here is just night and day. The old way of learning history is passive, right? You're reading books, maybe swiping through a timeline. The AfroMetaverse way is active. It's not about seeing or listening, it's about being there. Instead of just being passive learners of some distant past, these young people become active participants in a living cultural story, connecting with their peers across the globe in multiple languages. It's a game changer.
Next up, let's see how this is all playing out in the world of art and culture, with the African Museum of the Metaverse, or AMM for short.
Now, the AMM strategy is ambitious, and frankly, it's brilliant. First, they aren't tying themselves down to just one platform. They're building across multiple metaverses. Second, they're showcasing incredible art that often gets completely overlooked in traditional spaces. Third, they're providing digital headquarters for other community groups. And the ultimate goal? To build a self-sustaining economic and cultural hub, a Black Wall Street of the metaverse.
But building these new worlds from scratch, well, it's definitely not easy. This grassroots movement is up against some very significant, very real-world challenges.
Let's start with just getting in the door. A basic VR headset like the MetaQuest 2 starts at $399. That price tag alone creates a huge barrier to entry, making that digital divide we hear about a very real, very tangible problem.
And then there's just the sheer scale of the competition. By 2024, corporate investment in the metaverse is projected to hit $800 billion. That's the kind of financial power these community-led projects are up against. It is truly a David versus Goliath situation.
So the challenges are steep. Beyond the cost of the hardware, there's uneven access to high-speed internet. A lot of artists are hesitant to even participate because they're afraid their work will be stolen or appropriated. And these organizations, which are often under-resourced, face a constant struggle just to monetize and compete. There's this very real risk that the whole metaverse could just get co-opted and end up just like the internet today, dominated by a few giants like Google and Facebook.
But despite all of those hurdles, the vision for this future is what keeps the movement driving forward. And it's a vision that goes way, way beyond just technology.
At the end of the day, this isn't just about gaming or avatars. It's about cultural preservation, protecting history that has been erased or destroyed by colonization. It's about building global connections between communities that have been separated by geography. It's about creating new economic opportunities and, maybe most importantly, achieving digital self-determination, the power to define your own identity and build your own future.
As the journalist Willie Chamors puts it, the incredible creativity and resiliency of Black people have revolutionized pretty much every other aspect of culture, from food to music to fashion. If that same energy can overcome the hurdles in this new digital space, there is just no telling what's possible.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. The next chapter of the internet, the next version of our digital lives, it's all being designed and built right now as we speak. So the fundamental question we all have to ask is, who gets to hold the tools?